I don't even know. I don't know what to call this, y'all. I have no idea. This ain't Apartment 5B. This is just Killing Ev. This is the Killing Ev.
I'm calling.
This,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
This is what happened. The whole writer's bench, corner, Apartment 5B, all this hoopla started from this phone conversation. Me and this man used to talk every single day for hours about hip hop, and we'd be like, "Yo, Kill, somebody has to hear this. It's too much knowledge, too much jokes, too much back and forth that it just stays between us," which started everything. So these conversations go back 4 years. Ev loves to call me. Like, let's just keep it funky. That's what Ev does. Ev doesn't call me to just be like, "Hey, bro, I'm going to Brussels." No, this nigga calls me to start some shit. So he called me and I said, "You know what? I just got finished recording a podcast. Let's just keep the recording going and keep it on moving." What you? I'm gonna shut up and just take what you was gonna say. What were you calling me with?
Every once in a while, I call my brother. Because I'll be on Twitter and I see some stuff and I'll be like, word. And I don't usually respond on Twitter. I just be like, I'm gonna call that motherfucker tonight. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna call his ass tonight. So I'm trying to pull up the exact tweet, but you tweet a lot, so it may be way down there.
I can remember it. Just tell me what it was about.
I saw a tweet and it was talking about the Pete Rock joint, and you gave the joint 5 mics, which is the highest number of mics you can give anything. Now, I'm not saying it's not deserving of it because I haven't heard the whole thing. Yes. I'm just surprised, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
Because my brother doesn't just throw out 5 mics like that. Actually, I kind of remember him saying something like, "You got to live with some shit before I give it 5 mics."
You're right.
Now, this album ain't been out that long.
No, it hasn't.
And I know I see a lot of people, as soon as something come out, they call the shit classic. They get the 5 mics. They ain't really lived with it yet. So when I see my brother do it, I was like, Now, I'm sure the shit is banging. I've only started listening to it, but I'm just surprised at the time of it. It ain't been out for 3 months yet.
You know,
already giving it 5 mics. So I have to call and fuck with you.
Right. You're 100% right. And this album, I went against the grain with what I usually did.
Mm-hmm.
What happened was I've let Twitter and other people, this is what most people won't admit, influence me into how I rate things and things like that. See, back in the day, I would just be like 5 mics. Now I think from talking to people, and not just Twitter, people I respect. I don't want anybody ever, y'all know me, I don't give a fuck. I'm not talking about just random people on Twitter. I'm talking about people I respect. Mm-hmm. So what I started to do was say, well, you know what? Even if I think something is 5 mics, I'll give it 4.5 to start with. And then I'll do an old source shit and come back in 5 months and give it the last, what Big Boy say, I need that other half a mic. That's something something realistic was a classic. I just think for this album, this whole year, because I gave Bandana 4.5 mics, I gave Jim Jones 4.5 mics, I gave Plugs I Met 4.5 mics. All those albums are 5. I'm back to normal, good old fucking Kill. If I feel in my whole heart and soul it's a 5, it's a 5. And this joint to me was just crazy. Now, here's the crazy part about this album, to keep it 100 with you. First listen, I didn't like it. First listen, I didn't like it. And
when did it come out? When did it come out?
This came out Friday.
Friday. Like last Friday?
Like last Friday.
Told me it hasn't been a week yet.
But let me show you.
We only what, Thursday? Is it Thursday?
Let me show you something. This is PJ Morton's album Gumbo, right?
Familiar with it.
This came out Friday. This is the first album I've ever in my life. I don't even know how I'm getting this thing. I don't know where it came from. All right, there.
Yeah,
the first album in my life that I ever listened to and literally wrote a review to it the same day and gave it 5 mics. It just spoke to me. From the first, I played this once. I literally have never in my life written a review for an album after the first listen on the same night.
But the first listen inspired you. The first
listen inspired me to start writing the review as soon as I was done the first listen.
But the Pete joint, the first listen, you didn't like it.
Not that Did I say that? Let me.
Yeah, you did. I'm glad we're on video because we can always go back.
I decided, you know what it was? There's something, and I realized I have to start listening to music without producer ears. You know what I mean? Because what happens is I hold Pete Rock in such a stratosphere that I'm waiting for fucking, I don't know, straighten it out. I'm waiting for, this beat that's gonna blow my brain apart and make my beard fall off and grow back on. Like, I'm waiting for some magical shit to happen. And I think we talked about this before, where it's just like I know before I started producing, I looked at Pete and Premier and all these dudes like magicians. You know what I'm saying? And I would look at Bezo and Shy and the Kid Called Roots, all the producers I came up under as magicians. And I'd see them pressing buttons and turning knobs, and I'd be like, "Oh shit, it looked like these motherfuckers is piloting planes and shit." But then when you learn how to do it, it kind of takes a little bit of the, oh shit, these niggas flying planes. I kind of know what these niggas is doing. Almost to like how we talked about with a magician. If David Copperfield makes the fucking Statue of Liberty disappear, we're like, oh shit. But then when we learned that trick, that's not a oh shit moment anymore. It's like, nigga, I know how to make Statue of Liberty disappear. So back in the day, I'll be like, yo, how does Pete echo horns? Oh, multi-pitch. Now that shit isn't amazing to me anymore. How do the beat miners filter bass lines? They just filter it out on the ASR or the S950. Now that's not amazing. So I'm saying all that to say that sometimes producers like Pete and Preem and the greats, I hold in such a high place that the first listen, I wasn't blown to smithereens just by the beats. Not that they were whack, not that they weren't great, but I wasn't blown away. And then I said, you know what? Let me literally try to turn my producer ears off and just listen as a hip hop fan. I don't know if Pete Rock can floor me anymore. But that's as a producer, you know what I'm saying? If that makes sense, you know what I mean? Like, because of I know all the tricks. It's like I said with a magician, like, nigga, the card is under your hand. I know the trick. Like, now the rest of the crowd is still amazed. Like, oh shit, how? Like, magicians in Vegas. I'm like, how do motherfuckers still go to magic shows? Like, it's 2019, and you go to Vegas and be a magician with a magic show. But so that was my first thing, was like, yo, I don't hear Straighten It Out. I don't hear fucking Troy. I don't hear, Half Man, Half Amazing, or what, whatever like that. I don't hear The Game. But then second listen, I'm like, let me just listen as a fan. And because after the first listen, to be honest with you, the only beat that I was amazed by was the last one called Audacity of Dope. I was like, this is incredible. Like, my head is nodding. I can't stop. But then listening to it just with open ear, like, yo, this album is stupid, man. You know what I mean? The album is stupid. For me, Skyzoo, I've always been a fan. He's got bars, but I've never been a fan of his production as a whole. Like, when people say things like, oh man, Sky's one of the dopest MCs, and I agree with you 100%. But for me, and it's not him, it's just the production. Now, I guess that's part of him because he's picking his beats, but it's just like, it was always something missing. Like, if you give me a Skyzoo album with 12 songs, I'm gonna probably really like 6 or 7. But the other 5 are not, gonna do it for me or whatever like that. So, but this album, bruh, production, lyrics are all great. And thinking about it from Pete not fucking up my mind anymore, these beats are still crazy. Like, please, anybody watching, don't get this twisted. I'm not. You got to understand that if you're a producer will understand what I'm saying. That's why. We get you. That's why. But for y'all folk who are going to be watching this, when you do something, you look at things differently. If you are a basketball player, I can't play basketball, so the shit Steph Curry does is amazing to me. If you play basketball and you shoot threes like that, you're gonna be like, yeah, Steph is cool, but nigga, I do that every day. Like, so you gotta understand, you gotta put yourself when you are doing the same thing. And again, please don't nobody get this twisted. I'm not nowhere as good as Pete Rock. I am not trying to, because some niggas like, oh, well, Kill, you trying to say you was nice to me? I'm not.
No, that's those over.
Right. I'm just saying I know some of the card tricks. I can't make the Statue of Liberty disappear. I can't fucking do the big magic shit, but I know the basic pull a rabbit out your hat trick. So that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to allude to anything. There's no disrespect or anything. But yo, like listening to it with just open ears, like yo, this shit is really amazing.
And the reason why I bring this up, because I want to be clear, it's not because I don't think the album is dope. It's because I really want to like put the focus on how we take our time with these projects that we receive. So Pete Rock, Skyzoo, they took some time to put this project together.
Right.
Now, if cats get it and they be like, oh my God, it's amazing. This shit is, it's a classic. And they say that the first day,
right.
Then by next week they on to something else. To me, it's almost disrespectful. You haven't given the project a chance to actually be incorporated into your life.
Right.
You can live with this album. If you live with it, you may stick with it for a good 6 months. You may pull it out again next year. It may resonate with certain things. So I'm always kind of like, when I see people do things so fast like that, I'm like, are you really giving it a chance? Are you really living with it? Or are you just trying to go through it so fast so you can be the first one to say, oh, it's this or oh, it's that, and oh, it's this or it's that. So that's my whole thing. It's not even about knocking Pete or knocking Skyzoo or saying the album isn't dope. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet. I just got back in the country. So that's my thing.
Right. And you know, for me, man, and we did the show, I think it was a Writer's Bench show that we did about, and it was just me and you.
Yeah, that's true.
About why you speed dating hip hop, and it was like,
exactly. Yeah, I remember that episode.
Stuff, you know what I mean? And you know me, and folk on Twitter know me that like I'm usually like it was already mapped out that I'm not listening to nothing. Like it was that big weekend when everything came out. Rhapsody came out. I forgot Rhapsody came out. Raphael Sadiq. The Raphael Sadiq joint came out. Something else came out. And I told people, like, yo, don't ask me shit about Rhapsody because I'm listening to this for a week. Then after that, I was listening to RJ Payne for a week. Then after that, I was listening to Jindana for a week. And I was like, I'll get the Rhapsody in a month. And people like, well, how you going to be part of the conversation? It's cool. I don't have to be part of the conversation.
True.
I don't mind waiting a month to hear Rhapsody. Y'all are the mofos that got to hear it the second it comes out, which is cool. You know that, like, if that's your number one pick, my number one draft pick was Raphael Sadiq. So he's the first of my rotation. So that's not me, but I just think, you know, and it's funny because it came out Friday. Porsche sent out a tweet on Saturday, like, yo, what's better, this or Bandana? And I even said, oh, I love this album, but it ain't even close. Bandana's much better. I said that on Saturday. Now, by Monday, all I've been listening to from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday is Rushropolitan. So by Monday, I got on Twitter and I tweeted, I'm going to have to renege on a statement I made Saturday.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to renege and say that I misspoke because I said Bandana is easily better than Rushropolitan. I have to take the easily out. I said they're kind of equal, and I'm almost leaning more towards Rushropolitan right now. And here's the dope thing. Like I said, I'm going back to the old kill. So Benny got 5 mics. El Chapo, Jim Jones got 5 mics. Bandana got 5 mics. This is getting 5 mics. So it's almost like you could watch a 5 mic movie, but it may be 2 different genres, even though it's both hip hop. You know what I mean? Because I know some people who don't like Skyzoo. You know, he has a very, I don't even know how I would describe his flow, but it's hard for me to learn it. And what I mean by that is normally with most MCs, I listen to it enough, I know it bar for bar. Sky has it's almost like
kind of flow.
Yeah, he's almost like guarding a lefty. If you play a ball and somebody who's a lefty, their handle is kind of different to guard than somebody who. So his style is awkward because I'm like, yo, goddamn, I've been listening to this album for like 142 hours and I still can't repeat a rhyme. Like that's never happened. But then it's the flip for Gibbs. Like Gibbs is the same way. Everybody doesn't like Freddie Gibbs's flow. You know what I mean? Because I don't know how Gibbs rhymes like that without getting punched in. I'm like, bro, your breath control is stupid. Like this would be a punch-in for the average rapper. So I mean, bro, I love the album.
You know what? And I'll say this: I'm picking with you. But I'm only picking to a certain point because we both have done this before.
Right. Most of
with the To Kill a Butterfly joint.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, the Pimp a Butterfly.
Yep.
And the first we heard it was like we talking to each other on the phone. We was like, nah, I don't think this joint. Nah. And then we're like, we're gonna listen to it again. And like 2 days later, we was like,
yo, this shit is incredible.
I think it's
yo, that album went from being the wackest album ever to like, yo, son, they be teaching hip hop classes on this.
Exactly. So I can only pick with you so hard because I know I've done it myself. But I was just curious when I seen it. I was like, oh, I wonder what happened with that album. What went down?
Yo, bro,
I have to do that in a minute. And I was like, 5 nights?
I can't wait for you to hear this joint, man. The beats are just crazy. It's funny because it almost brings me back. Like, I didn't realize like how much I miss boom bap, like New York boom bap. Like, it's weird because then some people may not understand what I'm saying, but when I listen to Bandana, I don't hear New York boom bap. You know, I hear boom bap. I guess these young motherfuckers call it lo-fi now. I don't know. I just hear hip hop. I just hear good fashion hip hop when I listen to Bandana. But when I listen to Retropolitan, I hear New York boom bap. And it reminded me of how much I miss New York boom bap. Somebody out there listening is going to be shaking their head like, Kill, I know exactly what you're saying. There's going to be some motherfuckers like, I don't know what the fuck he talking about. But that's what this is. And the way that they have it, that it's a love letter to New York City and a wake-up call to New York City is like the first track, Glorious, man. The only beef I have with this is that I like for music just to come on. Like, and I don't like intros. Motherfuckers know I hate intros. Even when I go to track number 2, Glorious, it's an interview with, I think, Miles Davis. I cut all that shit out. I had to make a whole new copy for myself. So when I put that shit in, the beat comes on. I don't want to hear no goddamn talking. I'm from the old school. You put a needle on the goddamn record. I don't care how many interludes you have in the middle of it. But nigga, when I put the needle on the record, I literally went in, burnt this, made my own CD, and downloaded it on my phone. So when you hit play, you hear the beat. But I mean, the stuff that Sky is spitting, like, bro, I can't wait for you to hear it because you lived in New York for so long. You know what I mean? And you've seen gentrification in Harlem. Like, he said something in one of these lines. He said, yo, shout to all the crackheads that be across it, like from his apartment. And he said the new Goldilocks bitches bitching over porridge. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you know, now you got these white people complaining, oh, the music's too loud and this and that, you know, so he's got so many like little slick lines in there that's just like, yo, I was with Mousse last night and I was playing it for him. He has this line on this joint called Homegrown, where he says something to the extent of, that I would have a note if I had a horn, something 40 acres. So when I say D's, I add a Lee like Cannonball. So the 40 acres, the Lee for Spike Lee, 40 acres. I add a Lee like Cannonball, add a Lee Cannonball.
Yeah, that's nasty.
That's something like that.
That's nasty.
Like, just that slick wordplay, and it's just like it's almost like what you were saying as an MC, and I forgot who you said did it, but it's like starting a line here and then doing it here and then picking it back up over here. It's almost like doing a Sham God. Sham God's like the illest nigga in a crossover. What Sham would do with the balls, he put the ball out in front of you and you reach for it and then he crosses you over real quick. Then it's the only crossover that has a name. Like, this is how dope Sham God is that niggas would be like, oh, I hit him with Sham God. Like, you didn't say that with Iverson. Nobody was like, oh, I hit him with the Iverson, or I hit him with the Hardaway. You just like, oh, I crossed that nigga up. But with Sham God, you're like, oh no, I hit him with Sham God. Like, that's a really good point that you bring up. When we talk about MCs and we talk about this, because a lot of times we talk about MCs and we stop at their style. And we're working on this piece right now. I think I was telling you, working on this piece on the actual journey of the MC. Where I'm really looking at the analytical side a little bit harder. You talk about things like that when you somebody doing a Sham God, and then you're looking at how Skyzoo is actually working his wordplay. Those are techniques inside of the style. A lot of times we just we stop at the style itself, and we just kind of just like, oh, this style is like this, but we don't necessarily go into the technique inside of it. And I think every dope MC has certain techniques inside of their style that need to be like analyzed or broken down, or just looked at from a different perspective outside of just thinking hip hop. Right.
Let's just come out of that for a minute. Let's just think writer. Because if they were just like, if they were book writers, we would talk about their technique.
They would be an author. They would be
exactly. So I think, you know, there's something that we just have to remember when it comes to MCs. Like, you know, it's a craft. It's a craft. It's a study craft for MC, not for rappers.
Right.
Rappers can do whatever they want to do, but for MCs and for lyricists, it's definitely a craft. Definitely craft. I know me and Bezo, you know, me, you and Bezo had that
the difference between
on a journal a few years ago. But I think that's a good point, man. And just like, you know, just looking at that and just bringing that into the forefront of your mind when you talk about these people.
Right. I can't wait for you to hear the album, bro. Just because, like I said, you've been living in New York. He's got a track on here called 10 Days that I love. It's a play off a skit. I mean, not a skit, a piece of Paid in Full, where you know, they're talking about like, yo, and you know, in 10 years we'll have matching Benzes, and Mitch is like, nah, nigga, try 10 days. And so then basically Sky is just coming from the aspect of the classic 80s New York drug dealer. You know what I mean? Like, he has a dope line. He says something like, we pull up the 40 deuce and they think that we rap. He's like, the disrespect. Like, he's like, yo, they think that we rap, the disrespect. Like, them niggas ain't getting it. Like, so it that's what I'm loving about the album too, that is not just, you know, and prayerfully people haven't put two and two together, like to look at it like that these aren't just songs, but they're like period. I feel like they're almost period pieces. You know, he has a song on here called Penny Jerseys about Penny Hardaway jerseys. And he says something like to the extent of, you know, and when I came out on the block with my pennies on, you know, my block said Skylar, them shits is hot. And then my block hit an applause because they just dropped in the store. He said something like, I had the Black Away one and I had the USA one. I rocked them once a week and it played like how Nas tape run. Like, you know, just talking about like reminding me of, you know, being back in Philly and coming out on the block with a new outfit. You know, everybody being like, oh, Kill got the new Joe, you know, like that period of New York. Or not just New York.
Where's Skyzoo from?
He's from Brooklyn.
He's a Brooklyn cat. Okay.
Yeah,
all right, cool.
You know, so just like that, he's got you know, the audacity of dope, man. It's just crazy. I mean, like the whole album to me is just dope. It's finally the Sky album I wanted, where I have no complaints with the beats. Pete's stuff with the beats that I love is just, you know, one of the things, and you and Nick put me onto it when I was asking y'all about, y'all people keep saying sampling is dead or people don't sample anymore, but everybody's sampling, and you and Nick were breaking it down for me, but y'all was like, but people aren't doing the pulling 5 different songs, you know, how Pete would pull, you know, bring the chocolate buttermilk from Kool and the Gang for Straighten It Out, and then bring the, you know, the I can't remember, is it Ernie Hines?
Man. Pete is Quincy Jones. This cat, me and Vic was having a conversation about Pete. And it's not even like it's not even comparable to other producers and stuff like that. But Pete, he produces the way a composer orchestrates an orchestra.
Right.
He just brings all these different elements into the picture. It kind of reminds you of Bomb Squad a little bit.
Yeah.
But Pete does it in a different kind of way. And that stuff,
it's like, you know, the Bomb Squad was chaos.
It was chaos. Where Pete shit was just like it's an orchestra. This cat is actually writing overtures.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I just really tip my hat to that cat, because he's one of the ones that does it in such a beautiful way. But I don't know if people actually really like saw it.
I don't think they did. That part of it. I don't think they did. Right. Exactly. Before I really started digging, when I heard Straighten It Out, you couldn't have told me that all came from the same song.
Exactly.
So I think it was somebody came to the radio station with this Pete Treats album. It was almost like one of those sample albums where we had all the samples on it. Then my mind was blown. This is what I mean, the blown part of like, wait a second, these aren't the same songs? Like, you know, on the intro to Troy isn't on this. Like, you know, I finally get this. And I'm like, well, goddamn kid, where's the intro? It's like, exactly. That's a whole nother song. Like, how is that possible? But and that's what you and Nick was schooling me to, that's how things have changed to where now Pete may just use one sample instead of using 30 samples that, you know.
Man. And that's a whole nother conversation when we get into the sample thing.
Right. But on this album, there are just even little floating things. Like he uses a lot of little soul Karen Wheeler voices here and there. And it's just like, it fits in the beat. And it's like, I know it's coming up like that. Ha ha. Like just little things that, you know, just
are we getting a different Pete then? Are you saying we're getting a different elevation of Pete Rock?
I don't even know if it's a different elevation, because here's the thing. There's a joint on here called Richie. Now, I don't know if you heard, but the first single, It's All Good. I really didn't like it. It was cool. It was cool, but remember, we come from an era where the first single was fucking bananas.
It has to be bananas. Exactly.
Around no first single. So when I heard this, I was like, it's cool. It's cool, but this is the first single. I got kind of worried because I was like, if this is the first single, I don't know. But the hoopla behind this was that Pete made this beat back in 1991.
Oh.
Or maybe not 91. Don't get me lying. I want to say he made this beat. You know what? He made the beat Around the World Is Yours. So around the 92.
So, but it's still a 90s beat. That's still a good beat. Yeah.
And the beat is dope. But there's another song on here called Richie that sounds very similar to the two. The one him and CL off of Soul Survivor.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm actually kind of interested, are any of these other beats old beats that were laying around? You know what I mean? Because I'm figuring for Skyzoo to get his hands on It's All Good, Pete had to be playing him old stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you came over the crib right now, I know I wouldn't be pulling out the ASR like, yo, Ev, listen to this beat I made it.
Right.
If I do all of that, nigga, I'm not just playing you one beat. If I'm bringing out the ASR and grabbing floppy disk, nigga, we playing spades for a while. Like,
right.
It's gonna be 90s for that, you know. So, but I don't know if it's a different elevation, but it just sounded dope. It made me realize that I can't expect Pete to do what he was doing 30 years ago.
Because it's a different cat. He's in a different part of his life. He got a different air. He has a different life experience. You know, living experience. I think, you know, and I think that's true for MCs too. You know, a lot of times people look for MCs to come and say and do the same thing. But being an artist means you are pushing out what it is that you're experiencing. Your life, unless you living in the same house you lived in back when you was 19, you're gonna have a different experience. Unless you never got married, never had kids.
Even if you do live in that same house, you must not
be the same person.
But you can't, because the world has changed around you.
Exactly.
The store isn't the same. The bodega isn't the same. Your neighbors aren't the same. So, like you said, you would have to be living, like, you don't leave the house. Like, you haven't left the house until you know what I mean? Like, to see that, you know, and here's the wild part, man. Like I said, I can't wait for you to hear this out, because I don't want to hype it up, and I know I've already hyped it up.
No, I'm gonna check it out as soon as we stop this show. But first thing I'm gonna do is to turn it on and check it out.
You got a joint called Truck Jewels that's just reminiscent of like the days of and I hate saying New York, because I feel like any inner city went through this. So I feel like even though it's New York, I understood Truck Jewels in Philly. We understood that very well. You know, we understood the coming out on our block with something fly. You know, and I mean it's dope. I really don't have no knock with it, but I am.
No, go ahead. I'm listening.
Even when I'm looking at One Time, they have a joint Raheem DeVaughn that could be very old, you know. But even if this whole album is old, it doesn't feel old. The only reason now, see, it's hard for me to only listen with human ears, not producer ears. You know what I mean? Because when I'm listening to One Time with Raheem DeVaughn, I'm hearing the whole sample being filtered, and I'm like, man, I don't remember Pete filtering a whole sample for a minute. Like, I don't know if he filtered anything on Soul Survivor or Soul Survivor 2 or New York's Finest or any of those joints. So, but even if all these beats are from the 90s, it's just a testament to that this nigga was ahead of his time, because they still sound incredible in 2019. You know what I mean?
I'm curious now, because of the theme of the album, where they actually, I mean, I ain't trying to get into their, you know, where these cats is actually living at, but I'm curious of what sections of the world.
Well, I know Sky just moved to Atlanta.
Did he write this album in Atlanta?
Probably, because I think he's been in Atlanta for a while. And like he even says in one of the rhymes, something moved, and now I got yard space, but I still dress every day like I'm in the car, like in the cop chase or something like that.
Because to our point earlier, I'm curious as far as where they were at when they were putting this album together, like where Pete was at, where, you know, you said Skyzoo was in Atlanta. Did they come together? Or was it one of them things that they sent it through the email? Here goes the beat.
Well, I know on the inside cover, and I'm like, yo, I'm about to hit Pete up on Twitter or Grap up, because you really can't see it because of the blue, but I'm trying to get it in here somehow. So let me move these lights back.
I see a little something.
But it's like him and Skyzoo are like, all right, the light is that way, so let me turn it that way.
It's the glare off the computer, though. It might not come through.
I
see a little bit.
Like Sky is writing, and it looks like Pete is on the MP. And I'm like, yo, that's a poster. Like that right there is a poster that I need right there, because that looks dope. And like you said, you know, I'm hoping maybe that Sky did come up and record it, because you know what, I don't know if he wrote it, but it says it was recorded in New York. It was mixed by Jamie Staub, who was Pete's engineer from way back in the days and everything like that. So I love the album. It's one of those albums that I definitely could see myself listening to, you know, 10 years from now, especially when I get that boom bap feeling of like, yo, I want to hear some New York boom bap. And like I said, to me, lyrically, just Sky just kills it. You know, Sky to me has always been that dope MC, but like I said, he just was always missing. And maybe it was because, I mean, he did an album with Apollo Brown, but I'm not huge on Apollo Brown's beats. Again, I'm not saying these motherfuckers don't have beats.
It's all, man. They're going to listen. They're going to
you know what?
Stop anything you say anyway.
Stop making these statements, because they still going to say
shit. Still going to say shit. It don't matter.
So,
it don't even matter.
But it just never sold me. You know what I mean? I know he did an album with Illmind. I'm not the biggest Illmind fan in the world. And I think what people got to understand is that, and I say this all the time on Twitter, and nobody ever fucking understands what I'm saying. Music speaks to us all differently. You know what I mean? So just because, unless you hear me say such and such is whack, I don't think they're whack, because I have no problem saying the shit is whack.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? When I say Ninth doesn't belong on the Mount Rushmore of producers, what people hear is, oh, Ninth Wonder is whack. Nigga, that's not what I said. I just simply said he doesn't belong on the Mount Rushmore producers. Mm-hmm. I didn't call Apollo Brown whack. I just said the whole album as a whole, I didn't like all the beats. As always, there's 3 to 4 songs I like, and then it fades away. But yeah, Sky to me, in fact, before this, to me, Sky's dopest album as a whole was the Barrel Brothers. I don't know if you ever heard of Torre.
Oh, I remember the Barrel Brothers. Yeah.
You see out of Coney Island, Brooklyn.
Yeah, that was pretty hard. I remember that. Bro.
That was a very dope album. Yeah. But I think with Torre and Sky, when they both kind of came out, in my opinion, they got caught up in doing the Illmatic. And what I mean by that was, it was to give me 3 Ninth Wonders, 2 Illminds, give me 3 Apollo Browns, give me a Primo. Like, it literally like takeout. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Instead of just getting with one producer and crafting a whole album, which he did with Apollo Brown and Illmind. And again, I just wasn't feeling them as a whole. Again, you know, as a whole. Like, here's the problem. I always equate it to food. If you go to your grandmother's Thanksgiving dinner, you may not like the yams, but you like the mashed potatoes and the mac and cheese and the biscuits was good. You ain't gonna shit on the grandma. You ain't gonna be like, yo, that shit was trash. Because it wasn't trash. I just didn't like the macaroni salad. You know, who doesn't go to a black barbecue and the first question is, who made the macaroni salad? Like,
right.
You say a certain aunt, you like, oh, fuck that shit. So that's it. I'm not shitting on a Thanksgiving dinner. I'm not shitting on an album because I'm like, it's not 5 mics, so I didn't like the whole album. You know?
It's cool. Like I said, they're gonna talk trash anyway, so it don't even matter.
You're right.
But nonetheless, all right, I got you. I see where you're coming from.
All right.
I'm not even gonna poke you anymore. I see. All right. You gave it another listen. You coming back with the 5 mics. I'm gonna check it out.
And keep in mind, bro, that this was on repeat, literally.
No, I'm sure it had to be
midnight to literally. I wrote the article probably Monday night. You know what I mean? So I'm talking about. I'm listening to this. I'm pulling out my Beats pill in the shower. I'm listening in the car. I'm listening in the kitchen. I'm listening all day at work in my AirPods. It's just like literally like I burned the CD so I could keep that in the CD player. So when I'm not, when my iPhone's not hooked up, this joint comes on. So I've been listening to it nonstop because I want to learn the lyrics. Like we talked about this before, because when you speed date the music, you don't even learn the lyrics. And that was half of the fun for us growing up with hip hop. Able to Big Daddy Kane ain't no half stepper. I can't tell you how long it took me to say the BIGDDYKNE. Like it was like, okay, I gotta get this. I gotta get. So that's why once I like an album, I want to keep listening because I want to rap along with Sky Zoo. To me, that's half of the fun. You know, you go to a concert, you want to sing along with people. Like but I don't think a lot of people can do that because the bulk of people do speed date hip hop because they want to be able to talk about it right now. Like somebody said, well, Kill, if you don't listen to Rhapsody till next month, you're not going to be able to get on any of these conversations. I'm like, nigga, that's fine. Like, I don't need to be in on these conversations. Because here's the other part. If I listen to it now, y'all are telling me this is the greatest album since Sliced Bread. And when I did listen to Rhapsody, very good album. I thought it was cool. I give it a 3.5. You know what I mean? But when people are like, oh, no, this is going to make my top 5 of the year, I'm like, God damn, that's pretty fucking hard because you got, and again, I know everybody doesn't love El Capo. I love Jim Jones' album. I love Benny's Plugs I Met. I love Retropolitan. I love Bandana. And I know my dark horse that nobody will agree with me with, RJ Payne's The Square Root of a Kilo. Like, those are my 5 albums so far. So if nothing else drops this year, that's my top 5. There's no fucking way Rhapsody is cracking in there. You know what I mean? But, and I said this on another podcast, I said, the problem is that because she's a black woman who not showing no ass at a time when Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B and everybody showing ass, and then on top of that, the album is, I think it's called Eve, and every song is named after a black woman. So it's like, if I say I don't like the album, or if it don't get 5 mics, I don't kill you don't like the black woman. Like, you know, I think we talked about it with Luke Cage. I didn't think Luke Cage was dope. You know what I mean? I personally didn't like Luke Cage. I mean, here's the thing, bro. I grew up on Power Man. This is Luke Cage, okay? This is not what Luke Cage, his name was Power Man, okay? This is how the nigga was dressed. The nigga didn't wear no hoodie with bullet holes in it. He had a fucking costume, okay? So I didn't grow up on Luke Cage with a hoodie getting shot at. But you know what happened? Trayvon White got killed.
Martin. Trayvon Martin.
Trayvon Martin. I'm sorry. The Black History mofos on Twitter. The guy who's the Ward 8 person in the hood I work in DC is Trayvon White. That's why.
Okay.
But the problem is that I felt like if you said at that time, if you were black, you had to love Luke Cage because look at what he represents. He has the hoodie on. He has the bullet holes. It's black power. And I'm like, shit was whack to me. I enjoyed the music more than anything. Adrian Young to me is the only thing that kept me coming back to
True.
And again, because the Luke Cage I grew up on was Luke Cage. His name was Power Man. So
well, I mean, the first season was cool. The second season,
And I think it was just one of those things that with Black Lives Matter, there was a unity around blacks. So it was like, nigga, I don't care, even if you don't like Luke Cage, God damn it, you better say you like Luke Cage. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's the same thing with Rhapsody. It's like, oh, this is a black woman during a time when black women MCs don't exist.
Well, yeah, I mean,
naked and they light skinned, and here comes this woman, and she's making an album called Eve, the woman of all fucking mothers, and then every song is named after a powerful black woman. You better like this album. And I'm like, it's 3.5 mics. Like, nigga, that's like, but I'm not giving it just because I'm black.
Yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. I was going to add, though, the naming convention was cool, but I did put something on Twitter one time. Jamila Woods actually did that. She was the first person I see do something like that.
Now, who's Jamila
Woods? It wasn't, huh?
Who's Jamila Woods?
Jamila Woods she's a singer, man. She put out an album called I can't think of the name of the album, but the album has every track is named after some influential person in her life. So she got a Frida track. She got a track named Miles. She got a track called Muddy. That shit is ridiculous.
Okay, I gotta check.
Oh my god, it's so dirty. But so when I seen and her album came out earlier this year, so when I seen the Rhapsody joint, I was like, oh, she kind of did what Jamila Woods kind of did already. But like, oh, okay, let me check it out. So, but that's neither here nor there. It could have been 2 people with the same idea.
Right.
And one person bit off the other, but I thought that was interesting naming convention to see it again. But all right. That's, That was my controversy for the night. I'm gonna go back and listen to it. I'm gonna put on this retro joint and see what it's.
This is easy lifting. Everybody in my house is asleep. It's 12:35 here. What is it? 9 there. You good?
9:30. Yeah.
Bruh, this is what we gonna do. So whenever you got controversy, don't call me during the day. Just save that shit.
I'm gonna try. Hard.
Just text me like, nigga, what you doing at midnight? Like, you know I'm up. So
indeed,
let's get it going. Definitely, as soon as you're done listening, hit me because I want to hear what you think of it.
All right, no doubt.
All right, bro. I'll rap with you.
All right, peace.
All right.